Hello again, John Birch here, johnnabirch.com, continuing this great series this month on relationships around this fabulous February holiday we call Valentine's Day, concerning ourselves with love and relationships and focusing primarily on the relationship from the personality aspects and dealing with the breakthroughs that we can have before the breakups. So if you're at a place in your relationship where things are just not as good as they used to be at one time, there's a lot of tools and techniques that I'm putting out, good information here that you can adapt into your relationship and quite possibly revive or have a breakthrough in that relationship to bring it back to what you desire it to be. If your relationship's going great, there's also a lot of great information here for you to help maintain that, give you some very insightful information on your particular partner, coworkers, all the relationships that we have in our life, family members. This information applies to all of our relationships. However, in this particular series, we're discussing a little bit more in depth on having breakthroughs and reviving our relationships and finding ways to maintain the happiness and getting our needs met through our personality desires. So today, we are talking about a very exciting topic called communication. Can you hear me now? Right? You love the commercials. They ran for a while. The cell phone commercial, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? However, when I'm talking with couples primarily, one of the greatest complaints I get back, the largest complaint, is the communication breakdown. Often I hear it from women, he just doesn't listen, right, is one of the responses that I get from during my coaching sessions is he just doesn't listen to me and those type of things. And men and women alone by themselves communicate in very different ways. We hear this from comedians and psychologists and sociology professors as well, talk a lot about this, this difference between how men and women communicate. Hi, Rosalinda, thanks for stopping in. The seats are open, by the way. Anybody's come on in, jump in, join the conversation, talking about communication today. So when we look at communication in our relationships, men and women obviously communicate differently, but there's a deeper personality aspect that comes into this, and there's some really general ways to communicate. So those are some of the aspects that I'll touch on in this series of communication over the next few blabs here, conversations. Today, I'm going to touch on the communication style of assertive communication. Now, we've heard of assertive and non-assertive possibly communicating that way, where being assertive is defined as it involves a direct expression of your feelings, your preferences, your needs, the opinions on the matter that you're talking about. It doesn't include a lot of excessive fears and anxieties and ultimatums, those type of things. It's a very straightforward methodology of communicating, and is often considered the best way to communicate. Now, non-assertive behaviors can be aggressive, passive-aggressive, passive. I'm not going to dive into those too much, but just to know that they are other methods of communicating in our relationships. I want to focus on assertive communication and how that impacts your relationship. And there's a method called I see, I feel, I want, I need. I got this in my communication degree. I've carried this around for years. So I'll put this up there so you guys can see it a little quick there. So basically, looking at assertive communication, there's an observation of the situation. Something's happened where you've observed something that you want or need to communicate about. So this method of I see, I feel, I want, I need goes something like this. The observation, I see it. I see concrete, very specific behavior observed. I see that you didn't take out the trash. Would be the observation of the situation. Or the situation is going to be that the trash wasn't taken out. The observation, rather, is going to be very concrete and specific. I see you didn't take out the trash. And then you want to express how that makes you feel. You not taking out the trash makes me feel frustrated, right? The trash not being taken out makes me feel frustrated. And because I want would be the next step, right? I want a very clean environment for our home, our family, and in our relationship. It means a lot to me for that to happen. And lastly, the need piece would be a timeline, request for commitment, understanding. I need for you to understand that this is important to me, and not having the trash taken out makes the house stink. It makes me annoyed. Those type of consequences result from this. Then you put it in the content of what you expect. What is it that you actually need to happen? You expect to happen. I expect you to stick to our agreement that you would take out the trash every evening after supper. That way it doesn't stink up the house, or every other day, whatever your agreed upon expectation is in that relationship. That's a great example of assertive communication. Now, if we flip that a little, we go to non-assertive. So if we go aggressive, it would sound a little bit more like, damn it, why did you take out the trash? I hate when you take out the trash or don't take out the trash. It annoys the piss out of me. I'm sick and tired of you not taking out the trash. Very aggressive behavior, right? And then the kind of polar opposite to that would be a passive style of communication, where the person might just go take out the trash and huff and puff doing so. They might not say anything at all about it. And how that rolls into our personality temperaments, we'll see in just a moment on these situations where if we're not assertive in our communication, it really breaks down the relationship. We should be able to, with all of our relationships and with ourselves, have a platform of assertive communication. It's a skill set. Of course, communication also includes a active listening skill set. So communication comes down to skills. When we look at the diagram, or the model, as we call it, of communication, there's often they show it as a really linear thing where you have the sender. The message is sent over the media. So right now I'm sending a communication message over Blab, and there's a receiver on the other end. The other person is hearing your message, or potentially hearing your message. And we do that face to face. We do it through email, text messaging, all of the things that we communicate, all the media we can communicate through. Then we have to look at other dynamics that come into play. There's internal noise, like, oh, did I shut the iron off this morning after ironing my shirt? Geez, did I have to get the oil changed in the car? Those internal dialogues that we have happening as we're communicating our message or receiving a message. And then there's the exterior noise. The fan is on, the AC is on, it's a noisy office space, whatever those exterior noises might be. All impact our communication. Then, of course, we can dive into the verbal and nonverbal communication cues. If somebody sits there and they're like cross-armed, that's a very closed, very apprehensive type of communication reception, versus somebody is sitting and leaning back, their arms are open, they're a little more receptive in nonverbal communication cues. So cueing into those are all important things to have in our lives. Thank you, everybody that's just joining, talking about the breakthrough before the breakup. Today's communication. Can you hear me now? We're just going through some of the fundamentals of communication, and then I'm going to expand this now into our personality temperaments. Each personality temperament communicates in a very different way. They expect communication in a very different way. So if you're just joining right now, you'll have to come back and watch the replay and catch the first piece. But this piece is going to be specifically about your personality temperament in communication. Now, if you don't know what your personality temperament spectrum is, I welcome you to reach out to me. I'll be happy to send you an assessment or give you the links for the personality assessment. And you'll be able to see what your spectrum is, your expectations are. At Future Blabs coming up very soon about that, and how to access that and take advantage of some personality insight information. Really briefly, let me share with you what the characteristics are for the personality temperament, and what these characteristics look like in yourself. So green is one of our personality. We have greens, oranges, golds, and blues. Green, the personality temperament of green is an analytical person. They thrive on data, knowledge, information. They're very optimistic people, very systemized, tend to lean into the sciences. more than anything else. And the next piece is next temperament is the orange temperament. They're entrepreneur, bold, adventurer. They desire freedom. They're very kinesthetic people. Their polar opposite is the gold temperament. The gold temperament is the very organized, structured, policy abiding, policy writing, very traditional and loyal temperament in our society. The polar opposite of the green is the blue, the last of the four temperaments. The blue is the connection person. They thrive on building relationships and nurturing people. They generally thrive in nurturing careers in nursing, counseling, those type of things. Anything that they can get into and really take care of other people is where they're going to really thrive in their life. They're emotionally driven people. And I'm going to start with the blue. When it comes to communication, blues look for edification. Blues thrive on being lifted up in the communication. The more emotional the experience, more connected in a positive way, especially if it's a negative communication, if it's an aggressive communication, they're going to pull away. But the blue temperament loves the experience of a very almost spiritually emotional connection with others. They retain a lot more if they're influenced in the communication that way. Their polar opposite is the green. The green buzzword for communication was really enlightenment. It's knowledge. Teach my mind, right? Share with me information, data, facts, those type of things are very, very important to the green personality temperament. If it increases their ability to improve their competency, then they're all about that type of communication. Next, I'll go to the golds. The golds seek empowerment in their communication. They often see themselves as the authority in communication. So their whole presentation when it comes to communication has to be organized, succinct. It has to be structured. There can't be a lot of side chatter. There can't be a lot of side topics. So they want really organized, structured communication. Lastly is the orange. Orange want entertainment in their communication. They need to be entertained. They thrive in entertaining others. They love to communicate very dramatically. You'll generally see them walking around or using their hands, using props in their communication. They love to have a good time. If you let them have a good time when they're communicating, their message will come across in a much more powerful way. And if you can get them laughing, or if they can get you laughing, they believe that that's the way you'll remember them, their message, and the point they're trying to make. So those are the four different personality temperaments in communication. And then the last piece I'd like to share with you today are little techniques that you can use if you understand the personality temperament that you're dealing with. How do you carry a conversation with that particular personality temperament? I'm having trouble with my communication today. So when we look at the personality temperaments, the gold personality temperament, they want appreciation of their time. These are lines of communication. How do we maintain the lines of communication in our relationships with a gold personality temperament? Stay on task. Talk about expectations, talk about goals, talk about the results that you're going to get by this communication, and be authoritative if justified. If you're communicating with that gold personality temperament and you know you're a subject matter expert on the particular topic, you have to come across as authority when it's justified. Next, I'll go over to the orange. Remember, these folks want to be entertained. So you got to talk about orange interests. You want to talk about, adventure and being bold and confident, and skill is a really important thing to talk about when it comes to the orange. If you want to maintain lines of communication, relate it back to skill sets. Keep the conversation moving. Be interesting, be energetic, be honest and direct in your communication with the orange. So there's no reason to beat around the bush. They can take it. Their personality temperament in the communication style is all about just give me the bottom line, let's move on, so that they can make the adjustments they need to make and keep moving on with their happy life. Next, I'll talk about the green. The green, you have to talk about the possibilities. You have to share a lot of information with them, give them the biggest picture you possibly can, and stay very unemotional. This is critical for the green. If you get emotional with a green, they're going to check out on you. So they're not going to receive your communication. So avoid that small talk, remain factual, remain logical, allow them time to question you on the information. Again, that's going back to data research, going back to the information gathering that they need in their personality temperament. And then the next thing you have to do also is give them time to think, right? Don't expect an answer right then, right now, today. Give them a few hours, give them a few days to, depending on the depth of the topic, to really ingest and analyze the information. That's why they're often seen as slow to make decisions. It's just the fact that they really need that time to analyze and make an accurate decision for themselves. Next is the blue temperament, the last temperament that I'll talk about as far as communication. Opening the lines of communication with a blue temperament, you have to be genuine and sincere. The buzzword today is be authentic, right? You have to be very genuine. You have to be very, very sensitive to your body language. With blue temperaments, if they sense from your nonverbal communication aggression, you're going to shut them down. So remain open, remain somewhat passive in a sense, but assertive as well is very effective. Focus on people and events in the conversation, how the impact of the people, the impact on the event, the cause that it relates to is very important. It's vital that you express your feelings and your emotions about this. With a blue, if you get them to understand the closeness in the relationship that you'll have after the communication, if we communicate this way, if we resolve this conflict, if we reduce this stress, if you take out the trash, if you're communicating in that way with that significant other or coworker about a specific task, if you're able to convey your emotion and how the relationship will be drawn closer after the communication, as a result of the communication, then they're going to buy into it. They're going to be involved. They're going to emotionally commit to it. Some of the big things you want to do, though, to avoid conflict with a blue and maintain this good open lines of communication is avoid debate and conflict. They don't like generally don't like any type of conflict in their lives. These are very easygoing type of people. They're very tolerant people as well. Maintain eye contact with them, and then on the nonverbals, it's very important to maintain the eye contact with them. If it's a significant other, touch is going to be vitally important as well with the communication, and then show empathy and concern for whatever the topic is and how they're going to feel about it, the impact on them and their lives. So that wraps up the piece for today on communication. I'll continue to go a little bit more in depth on opening up these lines of communication, maintaining these lines of communication. The next piece I think I'll do will be on the perception of communication, how we perceive communication from the personality temperaments. You can actually read through emails, text messages. We always communicate in a specific language. So I'll give some of those cue words, those clue words rather, that'll cue you in on which temperament you're dealing with. So you can read an email and go, oh, that's likely a gold person, or that's probably a blue person in their primary communication preference. So you'll be able to communicate back to them in their preference. And we call this speaking in the nexus, or speaking the easy way. So I thank you very much for joining me today. I'll stick around for a couple of moments. If anybody wants to come on, or if anybody has any questions, of course, you can reach out to me at johnabirch.com at my contact page there. I also have a Facebook group. I'll post in the link. I'm just starting this Facebook group called Know Thyself. And it's going to be dealing primarily with understanding thyself in all of these areas of personality and aspects of life. So let me copy this and paste this rather into the link set here. You're welcome to join this group. Again, it just started it. It doesn't even really have the format there yet. It's just a Know Thyself picture. Some people have already joined. Thank you very much for doing that if you have. But come on over. I'm getting that set up. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll have a good message in there. I'm going to post daily messages in there, encouraging messages concerning personality, knowing thyself, growth, personal development, all of the aspects in the realm of the 3 areas that I'm going to be dealing with. From the personality aspect, it's going to be relationships, parenting, and leadership. Are the 3 entities or components that I want to focus in on in that group and help people establish better relationships so that they don't go through breakups, or they can reduce their conflicts, reduce their stress, and handle their relationships in a much more rewarding way. So thank you very much for joining me today. Again, John Birch, johnnybirch.com. Have an awesome day, and remember, you are great. Thank you.